Okay, here we go. I'm ready to go. Can you hear me all right? Am I loud enough? My hands are freezing. I'm down in my craft space in the basement, and it's cold down here. I've got a little space heater running. I have a puppy down here in his basket, so hope we don't hear any from that side. Okay, good. As long as I know you can hear me. Okay. Um, I had a hard time deciding what to do. I don't know why I'm shaking. Something is hitting the table and making me shake. Hold on. I had a hard time figuring out what to do because a lot of things I do are upcycled or recycled or whatever, repurposed. But at Christmas time, we had several people over, and I had ordered something, and it came on this. Does anybody recognize what this is? We got a lot of meat and cheese and what have you on this metal uh, serving tray. So I was trying to decide whether to throw it away or not after I was done with it. And I decided, oh, I could do something with that. So I've already cut half of it off and I've been playing with it. So that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at what I came up with. And it is nice. It has a design. At first, I thought it was a Christmas, like holly and stuff, but it's not. It's just like a meandering design. It looks like lace or something, ribbon. And then it has little flower motifs in it and some little, here, maybe you can see it like this. There you go. And then some little flowers, leaf sprigs and what have you. So it's kind of nice. On one side, it's um, sticks up, and on the other side, the design sinks in. So it's kind of embossed. So that's what we're going to do. Oil pan. Yeah. So I made a couple of things with it. I think I'll just show a few of them first, and then I'm going to show you how to do a particular project with it. Obviously, this is aluminum and it's thin, like a baking pan or something. And it's real easy to cut. You can actually cut it with a pair of scissors. It's that thin. And of course, you could use the flat pan, like the baking pan that's flat and isn't embossed, do the same kind of thing. But this really, I thought they turned out pretty. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these. Whoops, my ring's backwards. So this is a bird, and he's blue, and he has a lobster clasp on him, and he looks the same on both sides. And what I've used on these to color them is pinata, or no, that's not what it's called. What is this called? Patina, Ranger's patina that you can use on metals. And I have a lot of colors of these, so I thought, well, I'll take advantage of some of those because I don't use them that often. So that's where these colors have come from. So there's a bird, and I've just sort of made it into a charm. This piece, you can see, like right here, it looks like it's folded. And that I actually cut from one of the edges. So the edges of it this is how it looks, the edge of the pan. So I just cut it out from, well, I think on this side, like from here. And then I squished these little ends down with my pliers so they wouldn't be open like that. So that's that one. I think this would make a nice earring, nice set of earrings. And I used some black and the color on there. Here's a little flower, 3 layers. And then it has a brad on it. And then since it was a different color, I used a brass lobster clasp on that. So these can be, used on journals and things like that. And the last charm I made was this little butterfly. Okay. So they're basically all the same kind of idea. And then the project I'm going to show how to make is this one. This is made out of the same aluminum pan, and it's going to be a bracelet. And I left this one plain. I did not color it, and I will put a magnetic clasp on it. So to fit me, it is almost, if I put another piece on it, it'd be too big, probably. So I'm just going to add some links on there to make it the right size. So I'm going to show you that one in a little bit. Well, hi everybody. I get so excited and start talking that I don't spend enough time to see who all's here. So I'll answer that question, Janet, as I go along. If I get out of order, then I'll, I'll forget something. So it's easier for me just to go down the line. First, I want to show you some tools that I've used. I have all kinds of pliers and use a lot of different kinds of pliers, but you really only need 2 in this instance. Well, 3 actually. You need at least 2 flat nose pliers. Now I like these that are bent nose because they make it easier to do what I'm going to do with them. So you need those. You need either a metal punch. This punches a little hole. This is here. See if you can see this on here. See how small these? You can see it there. If I do that, yeah. Now you can kind of see how big the holes are. They're smaller than the holes on your big punch. They're smaller than the smallest hole on your big punch, and they're made especially for metal. But you can use them on other stuff too. I use them on paper sometimes. So you need something to punch a hole. If you don't have this, you don't have to go out and buy it. You can use an awl with a pointy end, a sharp pointy end, or you can use, what else do I have? Somewhere I have maybe your husband has a punch. It looks like an awl, but it's really a punch. They come in different sizes, up to bigger sizes. So you can use that to punch a hole, something that will punch a hole big enough to get jump rings through. And there's all different sizes of jump rings, so that would be up to the individual what size they used. So I actually have several kinds of flat nose pliers. Here's some pointy nose ones. Here's my bit ones, and here's flat ones. Now I'm going to be using these 2 mostly because I prefer them. And this is a graduated bail maker. I don't know what the right name is, but that's pretty much what it does. So I like to use this to make ear wires and things like that. You can also just use a regular pliers like this. And you don't want any of these pliers to have ridges on them. They need to be flat. Okay, so those are the pliers that I use. And the other thing I use is a small anvil. It's just a little, it's called a Bead Buddy from beadbuddy.net. And it's just a small anvil. It has a place where you can put screws in to screw it down to a bench or whatever. And I use it pretty portable. I like to keep it portable so I can, move it around and whatever. And this is actually an old gavel, made out of walnut, but it doesn't really matter. It just needs something, to hold it in place. Otherwise, it's going all over the place when you're trying to use it. So I use this as a flat surface, and also sometimes, to the rounded edge. But a flat surface for what I'm doing is really all you need. And this is actually a steel block. It's really heavy. And all it's meant to do is be a flat surface that you can hammer on. So, and this is a piece of that rubbery stuff that keeps it from sliding around. Let's see. And then this is the other thing I use. This is something that most people don't have unless they work with metals or jewelry. This is a dapping punch. And it's a small one. It only has two sizes. And each size has a ball thing that fits in there. And the purpose of it is you put your whatever you've got in here, you start this and you hammer it, and it makes this dome effect that likes on here. So that's what this is. You almost have to have it to do something like this. There are other ways you could do it, but they are not very satisfactory. So you need something like this if you're going to make something domed like this and make them all the same size. Okay, so those, and I use these are some metal Fisker's metal shears or snips or whatever you want to call them. I really like these. They have a serrated edge, so it's not quite as sharp on the metal, but it just cuts really nice, and it fits my hand pretty well. I have small hands, so I have to, So that, and then I have hammers. Here's one hammer. This is a very nice hammer. This is a chasing hammer with a little ball peen on the other end. And you don't want to hammer things with this that are really rough, because the idea of it is to be able to, just tap on it and not make any marks on the metal. I like this hammer a lot. Once again, it fits my hand. It's small. I don't need a huge hammer. This is, if I want something that's heavy, this is just a hammer from Harbor Freight or someplace. It's real heavy, but it's small. Once again, it fits me. So that's what I use. Sometimes, like when I'm dapping, I'll use this. But if I want to be a little bit more heavy-handed, I use this little hammer. There's so many hammers, you cannot imagine how many jewelry hammers there are, and they're really expensive. This is a, I can't think of what this one's called. But it's pretty much like a tack hammer, I think. It's got, you can pull nails with this end if you want to, but it's just the same thing. It's just a small hammer that doesn't weigh very much, and it fits my hands, and I don't worry about it getting goofed up. Some people will even buy these and cut into the edges to make designs on them, to make textured hammers. That's that kind of stuff. And here's a little bitty one. This one has interchangeable tips. We probably don't need this today. It's just laying here in my tray. But anyway, you usually need a nice little heavy hammer. You can use any kind of hammer you want. This is, like I said, this was an expensive hammer. And but I love it, so it was worth it. And it's small, so it fits me. Okay, so any questions? Well, I'm not going to ask for questions because I said I was just going to go along and tell you everything as I went. The other thing that I use is some little files. These are just little cheapo files. I probably got them from Harbor Freight too, like in a set of 6 or 8 files. You can use an emery board, a nail file will work for this because this metal is thin. You can use sandpaper. This is fairly fine. And it's also water. You can also use this with water, but we're not doing that today. We don't need water today. And what else? Is that it? That's pretty much it. I'll be using a little bit of wire. And that's probably, I think that's about it. Okay, so let me see. I have to pay attention to what time I'm done today. So real fast, I'm gonna go through showing you how to make one of these circles, just so you can see how it's done. But these are all finished, so I don't need to add to it, but I did want to show you how it's done. So what I do is I figure out which side is the least bumpy, so it's going to be the side with where everything's indented. And I just take this little stencil, put it down on here. I take a Sharpie and just draw my circle. And what I did was I determined the size I wanted, and then I picked the stencil that matches my dapping punch. because that was the size I want. I could have made them a little, smaller. Then I would have used a smaller punch. I mean, a smaller template. So I used the one that fits the punch. And now remember too, this is metal. And right now the edges of this metal are sharp because I just cut them. But see how easy that cuts? Now I could have done it with the scissors. Let me show you. There's some old scissors over here. Well, I'll just use these. Here's some. You can cut it with scissors. These are just regular scissors. And it might be easier for some people, because this is a little bit bigger and this has a spring in it. So you have to, it takes a little bit more control. And I'm just cutting around the edge of this where I drew the line. Now, the things that I'm doing can also be done using better metal like copper. I usually work in copper. I just like it better. But it could be, it's similar. Trish. It's a similar process. So all I'm going to do is just kind of lay that on the top there. It almost falls down in there, but it isn't. Now it's probably going to jiggle something. So that's why I did some ahead of time. And take one of my hammers. It doesn't take much. And I'm just going to put this in the middle and kind of start it by just pushing a little bit. And then I could just take the hammer. And see, it's gone down in there. Now it's not finished yet because some of the edges are a little crinkled. So if I go in here and I just move it around, it's going to get better. I have a real big crinkle right here, so I'm gonna, since this is so thin, it has a tendency to bend a little bit more than I like, but crinkle up instead of the metal stretches. That's what causes it to form to the DAP. It kind of stretches a little bit. So I'm just going to put it back in there, and I just flattened the piece out a little bit on the edge where it was messed up. Okay. So I'm just rolling this around and sort of hitting it so that it will push it into the edge. Now here's what we got. From going in that little thing. Isn't that cool? I think that's the coolest tool. I like using that tool. So now, normally I would clean off the mark. This is just Sharpie, so I can clean it off with alcohol. And then the next thing I did was take this little puncher and punch it on one side. See? I'm punching it fairly close to the edge because otherwise I'll have to use a huge jump ring. So, because the jump ring, if it's not big enough, it won't go all the way. So I just punched it. See how easy that was? Now I'm going to go across to the other side. Hopefully I'm even. Pretty even. And punch another one. And that where I punched it, it's not going to, how sometimes paper punches, they don't punch all the way. So these metal punches, they don't punch all the way. So they leave a little, I don't know, you can't see that probably. They leave a little, what do you call those things that fall out when you're voting? They leave one of those in there. So I just take, you could sand it off, but that takes too long. So I just take a pair of cutters, where'd they go? Oh, here they are. I just take some old wire cutters and just kind of snip that off that's in there as cleanly as I can. Then I take a pair of flat pliers and just going in this way so I don't, I don't want to go sideways because then that'll flatten the edge out that I just domed. So I just go in here and just sort of push whatever's left of that little doohickey down. And then I take the hammer and I use the ball peen edge, this little round edge, and just gently, if I can do it, just gently, just barely hammer on the inside of that, where that hole is, to finish mashing down that sharp edge. Okay. So now we've got a dome. The next thing you have to do is sand it. You can do that in different ways. You can when I do something that's domed like this, I'll put it down and roll it and rub it around. First, you have to get the Sharpies off like this, and then you can just, and like I said, this will work on copper, work on sterling, whatever you want to work on. Hi, Janet. I looked up and there was your name. So it's not finished sanding it. All I've done is make this edge really sharp, but I've made this bottom edge flat. So the part that sits against your arm is flat. Now I have to smooth out this edge so that it's not, so you don't cut somebody like you've got Wonder Woman's ring or whatever that is, So it's just, it doesn't take much. You can even lay it down like this and go this way. You just need to be aware that if you're sanding two sides, it's like when you sharpen a knife, you don't want to do it that way. So you can sand one side flat, and this now has a little flat edge on it. And then you go back and you sort of round that edge over so you don't end up with a sharp knife edge on there. You want a dull edge. So it just takes, a little bit of time to do that. And once you've got it, you're good. You don't have to worry about it too much anymore. So now, if you need to, you can go back and dap it again. But I think that one looks okay. So now I've got my two holes in each side, and all I do is go back and put a jump ring through this one, jump ring, or the same one through the next, and close it, and just do that all the way along. And then I will go back, and if I have time before we're done, I'll go back and put the ends on this tube. So when you use the patinas, these patina, I call them stains, but I don't know what they really are supposed to be. When you use this, you really don't have to put any coating on it. You can. It really depends if what you want your effect to be. I don't really care that if this gets kind of banged up because I've already done some of that. I've already, kind of roughed it up. So it's not going to matter if it gets banged up again. But this stuff really stays on. I've got pieces that this has been on for a couple years and been worn, and it stays on really well. The other one, where'd it go? This one is I just used alcohol ink on. And I will not put anything over it either because the alcohol ink stays pretty well. Unless you go dunk it in alcohol, and then you might have a problem, So these were another thing that I wanted to make. This is going to be a pair of earrings with dangles. So do you want me to finish out this bracelet so you can see it totally done? Or do you want me to work on one of these earrings so you can see it done? I can do either one. And I wanted to take my Sharpie and do the edges on this. So this is fun, it's not necessarily what you would call high quality jewelry, but it's something fun that you can make, and you can wear it. I mean, it'll look nice when it's all finished. and it's definitely easy enough to wear. Finish the bracelet. Okay, and let me see. I can finish the bracelet really quick, and then whatever's left, I'll start on the earring. Let's see, what am I doing? Here we go. So basically all I have left to do is add a few jump rings to make like a little, lost one of my pliers, which happens all the time. Here it is. Oh, what was I going to say? Clasp. I'm going to put a clasp on there. So I'm just going to take a jump ring, and if you have trouble with jump rings, this is the proper way to do them. You don't pull them apart. You pull them side to side, because if you pull them this way, you'll never get that curve back in it like it's supposed to be, and they'll be crooked. Oh, well, this will only take a second. How much time do I have? I've got, what do I have? 15 minutes? So when you put on a jump ring, I take a hold of it with one pair of flat pliers. Maybe you can see this better. Like this. And then that's why I like using these bent nose pliers, because they're kind of easy to see. Twist it this way, so it looks like this. Then I just add it on. I can add the next one. And then you wiggle it back together until it's right where it's supposed to be. With that, and that way you don't leave big gaps. This is a magnetic clasp. I'm going to add it. This bracelet is very lightweight. I mean, it's going to be one of those that you forget you have it on because it's so lightweight. The magnet's not going to stick to the bracelet, but it's going to stick to my pliers because it's magnetic. Okay, there's that end. Let's do the other one real quick. So always open them side to side. Don't pull them apart. And then wiggle them back together. And I'll get one more. And add this clasp on the other end. So, you don't have a lot of tools. You don't have to have jewelry tools, the expensive jewelry tools. I don't have any expensive pliers. My pliers, the ones that look like this with the yellow handles, came in a set from Sears, and they're Craftsman, so they have a lifetime warranty. If one breaks, I take it back and get a brand new one. But they're just considered a mini plier set, and they cost about, I think I got them on sale for like $18. Oh, I don't need that one. And there's 5 or 6 pieces. So here's how it looks. Just a magnetic clasp. This is a little big for me. I have to take out a few. And that's how it looks. Now, would you have thought that was made out of a meat tray? I wouldn't have. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. Yes, Sears is still around. You can still get tools from Sears. They're not very big, and they're usually included with another store as far as I know. All right, here we go. Here's my wire. I'm putting teardrop beads on these. You can't see a thing. Maybe you can see it in here better. See, they're little teardrop beads, and the holes go from bottom to top. So I'm going to find these. And all I'm going to do, I don't have any regular wires that have, I can't think of what they're called. The wires with the flat ends. So I'm just going to make one. So I just made a little bitty loop on the end, closed loop. And it's going to go from the bottom to the top of the thingy. Then I'm going to, I'm just going to use these pliers. You hold it right next to there, bend it at an angle, then move your pliers up to the next part, bend it back till it looks like this. And I usually take these pliers and hold that really tight and twist this around at least once and then cut it. Sorry, I'm trying to go fast, so, you know. And I don't have them over here, but I have another pair of pliers that will actually mash that down so that it's nice and round and flat. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, now I can take a jump ring. This is a little bigger jump ring than I was using because there's more space right here. So I need a bigger jump ring to reach. So I'm going to put in the jump ring. I'm going to put on the dangle. I'm going to close it up. And there it is. So this is the idea. I'll be putting these all along. I have 4 dangles to put on each earring going up like this. So let me just do that. When I'm out of time, somebody yell at me. I'll try to watch. And most of the time, I just take, and so I don't waste wire. See, this is a wasted wire right there. I can use it for something later, but it's really kind of a waste. So I put this on first, then make my little loop. Just a tiny little loop that's closed. Then I come back up. I'm going to do the same thing I did. Make sure this is all tight next to the little loop. I'm going to bend it this way. So it's at a 90-degree angle to the bead. Then I'm going to move up here. I'm going to make another loop that goes all the way past. So this is what I end up with. Then I'm going to take this again. Hold it real tight right next to where it crosses. Wrap. The other one I wrapped twice, so this one I'm going to wrap twice. Another jump ring. See, normally I would have all of my beads wrapped first and have them all ready, and then it goes a lot faster. Okay, there's the second one. Let me do this. See? Yes, she's She's had her little nap and now she's ready to be set free, but she's going to have to wait a minute. Now, I'm going to stop those right now and I'm going to show you how the ear wire is made. And I usually make 2 together. And I like to use my this one. Oh, where's my blah, 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 blah. All right, so to make ear wires, I just take a pencil or something that I can slide it off of and make, I've got 2 of these wires folded together and they're cut even. So I'm just going to wrap it around until I meet where I started. Then I'm going to take it off and try to hold it together so nothing moves. Then I can take this pliers or any round nose pliers and go this way. And I'm going to cut this off so they're even. And I want to keep them together as much as I can, so when they're done, they'll be even. And I will take my round nose pliers again. Actually, I want, I guess I'll use these again. I'm holding them. That's what I like about this plier. It's flat, and then it has this, so it will hold it very securely. And now that I've got that there, I'm going to push these wires up and around so that it will make the loop. Okay. So here is the first part of the wire, the ear wire. Then you take something that's flat and you just grab it at this little end, put a bend in it. Otherwise, it's too hard to get on your ear. Yes, you change pliers quite a bit. Okay, Mariah has started. So zoom on over there and watch Mariah, because I took too long. And thank you for being here. Go see Mariah. Don't keep her waiting. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.